Fury. Okay. Welcome everyone to our November regular meeting pre-meeting. Time now is 7. Let's get started. Start with old business, city state wireless master plan. What do we want to do here?
I had Susan attend. I know we had discussed previously that we had some questions. So this is council's time to discuss that. And then it's made to approve the final phase.
Okay. Susan, thanks for joining. So, Dr. Meeks.
Yes, good evening. Thank you. I don't know what questions you have, but I'm happy to answer any that you have on your list. You just want to fire away.
That's maybe a question for you. We have not moved to task 11, correct?
Yeah, the final.
Gotcha.
Correct.
But we have the,
In draft. So Cityscape accidentally sent it to us early prior
I
to us approving it. So Susan had reached out about that. So we will be getting a finalized draft of that once we approve it.
Yes, I apologize. I misunderstood what the scope was for this last task, and I thought that the analysis, presentation, and document were to go hand in hand. But I'm glad that you've had a chance to see it, because if you have any items to address, we can do it now, and then I can send you the final version.
wait, the task 9 looks like the draft master plan, which is what we have, correct? And then task 11 is the final master plan.
Right.
They're two
The
separate tasks, right?
Yes, the first draft was prior to the survey. And then the second draft was to be done after you saw the presentation and after we found out if you had any questions. Then that's when we would take the information from your comments in the survey and put together the next draft. And I got the cart before the horse and actually did that draft to go with the presentation by mistake.
Thank you.
I'm sorry. That's the first time I've ever done that.
Okay, so I think like one question that's kind of like unanswered that put right here is this whole 98% coverage, right? So my understanding is 98% is county coverage, not necessarily including correctional coverage. So I believe that question has been asked a few times.
Yes.
If I'm mistaken, is that correct?
Okay.
Yeah, okay. So is there a response to that, or because that's kind of important?
Well, we're sort of at the hands of the county and how they are going to qualify the boundary limits of that 98%. They have not been forthcoming in responding to those types of questions from us. And so I don't know that we're going to be able to give any more information than what we have already with regards to public safety and the county. And I know that that's a real important piece, but sort of the one item that would be improved is that right now your cell coverage is so sporadic and you have so many areas that don't have coverage or don't have in-building coverage, that at least by improving the coverage that we're showing on the maps with the small and the macro cells, you would see some benefit from that with the way that public safety and Parks and Rec and street crews, the way they're using their wireless devices now, you would see some benefit from that until the county's network kind of catches up to the jurisdictional boundaries of the borough. But we really it's out of our control with regards to the county, but we can show you like we have on the maps, what we have found, but in terms of solidifying the solution, that's really kind of out of our control at this point.
That's,
Suzanne, I have one question for you, follow up to the last call. Does your analysis take into account it may be possible improvements of some of the towers that are directly within that 1 mile area outside of Franklin Park? We're wondering, is there any opportunity to enhance some of those as opposed to building our own infrastructure here?
Mhm.
I realize that that might be beyond our control to some degree, but I thought I'd throw it out there that, I don't know if that's something you considered in your analysis, and would that give us some opportunity to perhaps shoot something further over, and maybe that could reduce what infrastructure we need within the borough?
Mm-hmm. That's a great question. And I've got the master plan open. What we did, when you look through the simulated coverage maps that begin with figure 7 on page 16, we show you the estimated coverage from provider A, provider B, provider C, provider D, and then of all providers. And that all provider map that we're showing in figure 11 is presuming that every service provider is on every site. And so when you look at figure 11, even if all the providers were in and on all those sites in your 1 mile perimeter, or even just outside, because we did include, like, for example, 08, 07, and 06, even though they're outside your 1 mile perimeter, and 05, they were still having some influence and shadowing effects into that sort of southern area of the borough. So anyway, that map does include a snapshot of what you would benefit from with all those providers on each tower, and you can still see significant gaps and minimal in-building coverage. So we did take that into consideration, yes.
Okay, that's great. But obviously we're looking for any way to minimize what we have to address with them, with powers or
Mhm.
whatever. We've got many options to improve the coverage, but
Oh, sure.
thank you. I appreciate that.
Hmm.
Susan, I have a quick question. By limiting the height of the towers to 200 feet where they're not lit, would you be able to address more of these issues with less towers if we went above that 200 mark? Just to kind of see cost effectiveness of trying to find locations to put these and impact the community as least as much as possible. Is that an option for something to look into? Or do you still think we would still need somewhere in the ballpark, the 3 large towers that they handle these issues?
That's a great question as well. And we did look at raising the heights. And given the topography that you have and the peaks and valleys, there's really not a whole lot of benefit that you get going much taller than the heights that we've provided.
Okay.
We did look at that, and we were very conscientious. We were intentionally trying to stay below 200 so that they weren't lit based on the feedback that we got from the surveys. But we did play around with the heights, and the engineers found that, they really did give you sort of the height range that you need to accommodate all the providers, get the biggest amount of coverage for the geographic area that those sites are going to be in. Your biggest, I'd say of the sites that we showed you, you've got that PM01 that is shown. That's the one that probably has sort of the most flexibility in terms of location.
Okay.
Because you have, while it's very limited in terms of where a site could go in the vicinity of PMO1 because of the way your code is written presently, the northern site at the retirement facility, that sort of if it's kind of goes in that area, you get more coverage up into that northern reach of the borough. And your in building kind of shrinks south towards your PS 11. And then if you go sort of in the area of the religious institution, then you get more coverage in building, especially into that larger residential area south of that area and sort of in and around PS 11, but you lose some of the coverage along the north. And if a site were to go there, then you may actually need something in that kind of commercial area to the north where you've got like some 3-story, 4-story office buildings and another religious institution up in that area. We didn't get into that level of detail because really it's the margin of unserviced or lack of in-building coverage between those two is kind of a trade-off. You lose some if you go north, you lose some if you go south. But it was a fairly even trade-off. So we tried to, but that's the only one that has, I think, engineering would say the most sort of flexibility, but it's not about removing that site. In fact, that one in that area is really critical to tying together your entire network from east to west. It's just a matter of whether it would be farther north or farther to the south. Did I lose you? Does that make sense?
Good, thank you.
Okay.
Susan, when we're talking about having to light the towers, are we talking about just lighting on the top, or are we talking lighting from the ground up the entire tower?
Well, if they're over 200 feet, they have to be lit at the top. And if they're under 200 feet, they do not have to be lit unless they're in a flight path. And we did not find any flight paths that would require a tower to be lit when we were looking at your area. So as long as you stay under 200 feet, it doesn't have to be lit.
Susan, let's pretend, it's like 199 feet, right? Or, right now, and, it's placed or implemented, and we'll say in about 3 years, it's determined that there is a flight path or route. Does that mean, that tower will now require a light top or? Like, does the FAA come to the borough and basically convey to us that, hey, we've got a flight tower?
I have never heard of that happening before, but that is what would happen. Yes.
Okay, and then the 200 feet, is that like, is there some sort of like base to that? Like, let's say it's on a hill and the hill is like 50 feet above the street. Is it actually gonna be 150 feet or is it just 200 feet?
It's it's 200 feet, and that's inclusive of any appurtenance that's at the top. So the antenna cannot go above the very top of the antenna cannot go over 200 feet. The lightning rod cannot go over 200 feet. So it is the absolute top of the appurtenance on the tower has to be under 200 feet. So if it's a let's hypothetically say you had a 95-foot tower and it had a 10-foot lightning rod, that would get flagged as needing to be lit. And so that lightning rod would have to be below the 200-foot threshold. And there are plenty of towers that are in flight paths that are less than 200 feet. There's a lot of buildings. You may recall, well, maybe not, but if you fly at night and you get to an airport at night, you'll see that even a number of the hotels and buildings will have lights on them per the FAA, even though they're less than 200 feet. So they're pretty strict with regards to what has to be lit, and the fact that you have towers in and around the borough and they're not lit at below your 200-foot level, then I don't think that you're going to run into a situation where they're going to be required to be lit in the future. But I don't know for sure. I mean, unless there's an airport plan that I don't know about, then they would require, those sites to be lit.
Okay, and the lighting is vertical, right? It's not like a light bulb where it's basically.
Well, they do allow a dual lighting system for the most part that is a white strobe by day and a red blink at night. And you can put that in your code that should a facility have to be lit in the future, that you would want that type of lighting system. There's even a way to down shield those lights such that they don't, I guess, resonate.
Yeah, that's actually what I'm getting at.
Yes.
So you can downshield it, okay.
Yes.
Are there examples like at other towers in the US where there's a downshielding?
I would have, I don't have any examples of those, but I could work with Ben in engineering to come up with some and Anthony to come up with some suggested language that you could add to your code about the lighting.
Susan, that lighting isn't controlled by the FAA regulations.
It is controlled by the FAA. It would have to be approved by them.
Yeah, I don't know if we'd have to put it in our code at all if FAA already sits on top of us and tells us what we have to do.
Well, the FAA has different lighting systems that they allow.
Yeah,
And so
okay.
if you didn't have it in your code and a provider wanted to come in, because the dual lighting system is more expensive,
Yeah.
and they came in and they just went with a white flash by day and by night. If you didn't have it in your code that you want the dual lighting, then they could technically come in with the white by day and white by night. So
Okay.
I think it is beneficial to have something in there about the
Yeah.
lighting.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions for Susan?
Mhm.
Yeah, anything else?
What's that?
Okay.
Council just needs to, the next steps.
Okay, what do we want to do?
Yes, I'd like to. Absolutely.
Okay, what is it again?
Approving the finalization stage, or what's it, stage 11? Yep. Which is final wireless communication master plan for.
Okay, what is it?
999. That, yes.
Okay. What do you guys, what do you all think?
Let's finish the project.
Yeah.
Right, just finish it.
Are
Yep.
we letting Susan know right now what we're doing next, or do we need, are we,
That is, yeah,
we're deciding this right?
Yeah.
We're doing-
this is, we're assuming suggested language will be in the final report.
Yes, we can, the section where I talk about the zoning at the end, I will add the lighting standard verbatim that we recommend that you use.
Okay, anything else we need to?
The other thing that
Yes.
pops into my mind today is when we began this project nearly 2 years ago, I think one of the concerns was at the very end, let's say when we do come up with a plan, how to market that plan and get either tower providers interested or, we might come up and say, if the tower's here, here, and here, but then how do we take that to the market to get people that would build the towers are interested in doing it and, stepping up to the plate? And I believe we talked about the vendors would help us with that at the very end. We haven't made the decision
Yeah.
what's gonna be done yet, but at some point, let's say we do make that decision, what's our next step?
But like, once we have the finalized plan, we can take this information, the data that's in here, and use that to guide, well, the best term. Sure.
Well, I mean,
You're saying
Listen, yes.
You would want the information in the final report though,
I
right?
would think,
Am I understanding that?
I would think some point we should get that, because, I mean,
Right,
what is, does anyone know what the next step would be to actually implement once you come up with a solution? I mean, you could Google wireless providers in our area, but I'm sure there's a better way to take whatever council does come up with, to take that forward to implement at some point.
Which doesn't have to be immediate, but go ahead.
Well, I can add a next steps and just put in there a couple of suggestions. The first thing that comes to mind is to reach out to the service providers that already are in the community to let them know that you've completed the plan and that you have a strategy in place for them. There is an interest already to expand, and I think they're probably waiting to see what you're going to come up with. So that would be one of the first steps that I would recommend, is that once it's adopted and approved, is to reach out to them and share this with them.
Are
Because
you talking kind of an RFP process, Susan?
pardon me?
Are you talking kind of an RFP process there?
Well, if you were going, okay, well, that would be one option. If for your public lands, you could do that. Or just to let them know that you've completed the study and that you have a hybrid model solution, because the right of way, they would come in. That's a good question. I'll have to ask Anthony about doing an RFP for use of your right of way, because the Code of Federal Regulation already allows them to go in there. So let me ask him about that. And that,
Susan, would you like to share with us like contacts that we should go to and say, hey, we finished this plan, would you please, consider?
Mhm.
That would be helpful, I think, so you don't have to start from scratch.
yes.
also, when you were here last month, you said something about we should have it in our code that we prefer co-location, but we cannot require it, is that correct?
In the right of way, that is correct.
Okay. In the final report, would you put that recommendation in there though, that we prefer it, just so we have everything in one place?
Yes.
Did you hear answer the question?
I think so. I mean, we know, I think it's Verizon, AT&T, and T-Mobile, I think, are the three primary carriers in the area. I don't know all of the others. I mean, certainly Andy with and Reed, Reed or Zach with the Public Works. We'll be able to talk about those frequencies being on the towers as well. I think pretty well, Gary knows quite a bit about what he needs for public works, and obviously, Andy and the chief with what the police need. So I think we have a lot of resources on the emergency side. I didn't know, just pick up the phone and call the other ones and say, hey, come talk to us.
Well, before we approve this final draft, it sounds like we haven't really thought through everything that we want to see in the final draft. So I would prefer not to make that decision tonight. I feel like we need to talk a little bit more about if we want more information in it. We need to think through what we want. So we haven't finished the project and then think, oh wait, I wish I would have had that answer after we have the final report.
You know, list those out and then working session, some of the time on this.
I don't know, there's actually.
Okay, Susan, our thoughts here in the room are, there's some things that we want to think through, want to list out, make sure the thoughts are listed out in a list, formatted, so it's, easy for you to follow, make sure we have everything in the report that we're thinking about. Rather than rushing this through, and we do have a work session coming up, and 2 weeks, I believe.
Yeah.
December 3rd, we can dedicate some time to focus on that, or to tie this up.
Sure, that would be great if you could just, so the idea would be to approve the rest of the project. You get your comments to me after December 3rd. We would be sure to address all that. We'll send it to you. You'll review it, and when you approve it, we would send you the final document.
Yeah, right, that would wrap it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, that works great.
Is everyone okay with that?
Yeah.
I think that's fine.
Yeah.
We'll put our heads together and come up with,
Justin?
things, I just want, as it gets carried forward, I just think we might need a few pieces of information that I'm pretty sure Cityscape can provide to us to help us.
Yeah.
Mhm. Sure, and I'll put some notes together for you for in advance of your December 3rd meeting that will help to, sort of stimulate your discussion and maybe even help you come up with any other ideas or suggestions you want us to address.
Okay, anything else? Okay, Susan,
Thank you.
thanks,
Thanks, Susan.
Thank you very much. Happy Thanksgiving. Have a great week.
Thank you.
Susan.
Looking
Thank
forward to
you.
the notes, thanks.
Bye-bye.
Okay, thanks for that. Next item, board commission member reappointment application update.
I'll make it very quick. We have 3 applicants for the library board. And no applicants for any other position. So formally, the interviews are scheduled for the December work session. So I can schedule those 3 to come in for the library. But we still have 3 vacancies on the EAC. Dr. Lee, we talked about replacing with another council member, and then the vacancy board. It was vacancy board. So, those are the positions that due to people not wanting to be reappointed at this point.
Kathy, do we email the little charter person chair and then you have these volunteer positions available? I don't remember how.
We did not.
Okay. Is that a potential?
You can.
They were trying to volunteer for something, so they would volunteer for one of these.
Yep.
Yeah.
You sent that by the way.
I think I would do that. There's no problem with that, right? Yeah.
Kathy said 3 for EAC.
3 vacancies for the EAC. Library board, and,
Vacancy.
vacancy board.
Is that 1?
It's just 1, yes.
And still that, alternate for the civil service. Right?
Well, we still have 2 vacancies on the building board of appeals that we've had. Those are not new, and then, 1 alternate on the civil service commission. So,
Somebody asked me what the EAC did, and they had a misconception of what the function of it was, and I said, no, they clean up, they plant trees, usually once a year, and it might be nice if since you have 3 vacancies, maybe to get a little description of what.
we have that on the main.
Is it already on there?
Commission page. There's each board, there's description. That was the other thing I just wanted to mention. If anybody's talking to anybody about a fine, if you could direct them to the main boards and commission page, all of the forms that are required are there. Because if the application, a letter of interest or resume, statement of financial interest, and then the background authorization form. So a lot of people are missing those two 2 extra forms. So we just want to make sure it's not a problem. You know, I reach out to them if I only get 2 of the 4 and, you know, these candidates, that's what happened and we took care of it. So everything's in place for their interviews. But all of the forms are there on the website. People can just access.
I'm not spending enough time on our own website.
Can we plus the HOAs?
I was gonna say that's probably a place that would be some interest.
Just to see at this point with the 3 interviews on the 3rd. If we get more in, we can schedule, but there's nothing that we have to have this done. For January 5th, so as we always do, as we go throughout the year, if anybody comes. We'll schedule interviews and go from there.
Yes, sir.
Mhm.
Okay, on a new business, introduce the 2026 budget, is that getting update?
Yeah, you guys were all supplied with the proposed 2026 budget. The finances are much like we discussed at the last budget hearing, with only minor changes. One being transferring some money over into our capital reserve from our general fund to make sure we can start building that like we discussed. And the rest is all the supplemental information regarding how we're spending money and kind of explaining it to the residents and what their tax dollars are going to. So I'm happy to answer any questions you guys may have. Reach here as well, if you have any questions for him.
Say that again about the capital fund.
Correct. So we currently run our capital fund down to 0 every year, which is not sustainable. We discussed about trying to change that specifically for grant writing and for capital emergencies like road failures, washouts, bridge collapse, etc. So at the beginning of beginning of this year, we will have $4 million left in our general fund. We are planning to move 1.3 million over to start building that fund up to have represented there in our capital reserve. So based on the budget, if you look at it as a whole, it looks like we have a negative this year, which is not the case. We're just transferring money to a different account.
Gotcha. So on page 6 of the budget, under capital reserve fund, where it says 2026 is gonna start with a cash balance of 0.
Right.
You're transferring that money after 2026 or at the end of?
So once the budget's passed, the budget goes into effect first day of the year. So that's when we can start making changes based on the new budget.
That's just what you're saying is not clear in the narrative at the beginning of the budget.
Right now, that fund is at 0.
Right.
Going into next year, it will be at 0. We are moving money.
No, I understand what you're saying. I'm
correct that.
saying if I were a resident reading this, I would not understand what you just said
Okay,
based on
and we can revise
the
that verbiage.
narrative. Yeah, I think we should reflect that there because that's an important big chunk of money that we're moving.
So the shortfall that's shown on page 19 with the 1,043,000 really isn't.
Yeah, if you look at page
That
page
was- yeah, go ahead.
8, which is all of our funds in total, right? We're looking to start the year with $5 million across all of our funds. We're looking to end next year with $5,388,000 across all of our funds. So the money is increasing by $300,000 and some change. But it's just where it's located is different.
On page 12. No, I'm sorry, page 5. Can we break out the EIT and the LFT? Why are those in one category under that? There we go, where the general fund money comes from.
I can, that's what.
I think that makes sense,
Yeah.
because they are separate taxes that we collect. And
Mhm.
if people are reading this in detail, maybe they will, maybe they won't, but I think it's important to make that distinction that they're two separate taxes.
I think that they don't really talk about it. And,
What's that?
we have data what is it, readily available, the LST is the
Yeah.
$52, like, look, we're different.
Correct.
Yeah, our LST is about 200,000.
I bet, my guess is the reason something better is the minimal. Or income, but that's fine, if we have.
Yeah, since they're two separate taxes, though, I think we should list them separately when we're listing the taxes there.
LSD, they've been unlisted.
Yes.
Yeah. EIT's residents, LSD.
Then, page 51. Oh, page 12, fines and forfeitures. We talk about a portion of the fines go to state agencies, a bulk of this revenue. Can we break that out? Or is it too many different categories?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
Okay, sure, under fines and forfeitures, can we be more specific about, it says the Commonwealth and state agencies receive the bulk of this revenue.
Mhm.
Can we break out like a percentage of this fine? Do people,
Do you know that offhand? We don't see that, do we? Yeah.
Yeah, we don't see it.
Yeah,
We just
Yeah.
do it.
you get like, what, $12.50 per citation, might be a little bit more than that, but yeah, I mean, it varies depending on the violation and yeah, yeah.
there's not like a standard formula or amount that we get?
No, I mean, the amount we get is based on, yeah, that fine amount. So it could be a $75 fine and we get a portion of that, or it could be a $25 fine, we only get a portion of that as well.
But it's not the
So-
same portion across all the fines.
No, No.
Okay, well,
yeah.
okay. The- what about the next sentence? The borough does, however, receive a portion of fines levied by the state police within Franklin Park Borough and boundaries. Is that the same thing? It's not a standard amount?
Correct, yeah, that's enforcement in the borough lines on 79 to 79, and yeah, I don't even have that data or information. So, yeah, I have no idea how we even get that information.
Okay. All right, so we'll leave that general. More question on page 12. Still on page 12. So we have real estate tax, earned income tax, and real estate transfer tax sections for those. Can we put the same information we have on our website on there? Because it hints at the fact that not all your real estate tax and real estate transfer tax that you're paying comes to Franklin Park. But can we spell that out more clearly like we do on the
We went
website?
in the definitions, they,
Yes, like this
percentages.
percent goes to the school district, this percent comes to us. I think that would be helpful to keep, for people to see that all in one spot. I think that's all my questions for now.
We could split them. We can have, they didn't have.
For,
The transfer.
yeah,
transfer
for that one.
in the county, right?
Mhm. And, but it's different for each, and we do have that very clearly on our website, but I think it would be good to have it in this document,
Published.
right?
Or is that,
Those were all my questions.
anybody else have any comments? Verbiage or, clarification? Yeah, really get that.
Yeah, I'll really have to be more, but that's.
Posting date.
Yeah, I want to say it's next. It might be next Thursday. I'll try to confirm.
Actually, might be one day. 100 days, man.
Maybe learn tomorrow. Maybe reading tomorrow, because I can also send it. I'll just send it after that last meeting.
Sure.
Yeah, you're fine. Yeah.
Let's see.
All right, for tonight, first and foremost, this is my colleague Alex Giorgetti, just joined our firm, as a clerk over the summer, but joined past the bar officially, so member. He is a resident or a graduate of North Allegheny, but a resident of Narcan. All of that against them to start working up, tell them where houses are for sale. In terms of the agenda tonight, we will have the public hearing on the sort of expansion of the animal husbandry use for Hope Haven. Over the hill that have been recommended for approval, subject to Tim's staff report by the planning commission. Her reporter getting set up, we'll be doing that then. We added the additional instruments for the declaration of restrictions and covenants. You have 3 of the 4 signed. We're working on the 4th one. That's related to the MS4 project over at Matter.
Yeah, I've never seen them, those, is that something that we're doing that's new? Because I don't remember those on other projects.
So we have to, we did it once before on the Borough's project, Old Orchard, where we put that, the garden, the rain garden in. It's a DEP requirement, scary name, and that they are requiring as part of this. So we signed that one as the owner and as the operator. So Jane Opie signed both of those. Yep, it is similar, it is modeled after our stormwater operation and maintenance agreement forms we do under our ordinances, but because it's a state requirement. So there it is. Same concept.
These 3 that are in here all fall in the Matter one, so that location was already, when that was developed, I think it's called the Marshall Plan, whatever it's
Yes,
called.
Marshall Lands.
I think, I remember when it was being built, it was on the hill behind me, but I don't, I wasn't here when that was going on. The easements and stuff to get to that were already part of that plan, so we didn't have to acquire those easements.
Right.
This just tells the neighbors to stay away from it, don't block it, because we'll be coming back. And stuff.
Somewhat a reminder of it, it's already there, and that was one of our discussions with Justin, is we already have the easement, it's already there, because we had changed the pond and the structure, and DEP was requiring the system.
Yeah, I guess that's why I asked the question, if we already had a deeded right to get to it. This seemed like belt and suspenders to me a little bit, but,
My understanding is that he wants the new design attached to the deeds. Since we changed the design of the structures, they want it to now be attached to the deeds with the new information.
right.
There you go. With respect to motion 11, that's Deerfield Estates Plan of Lots 2A. We do have a quick change. The motion references the cash bond in the amount, but this was one that converted a cash bond to just a subdivision bond. Is that right, Kathy? Is it just a subdivision instead of cash subdivision?
One of those eyes, motion, if anybody wants to get back.
Just replace them.
Yes.
I have a question on this motion, not on the motion itself, it's clear what we're doing, but I know you keep reducing what we have on Deerfield, and we still haven't got the sidewalk connected, the floods.
They're still going. I'm not sure.
This is
how-
gonna come
I've
down,
asked
this
them
is gonna
to
come down to the end, and we're gonna be arguing about that.
get- I mean, they haven't given us clear, they don't like where the sidewalk is. Because a new property owner purchased the existing home, so what they want to do is, I think, we talked about this before, they haven't provided us any engineering, and we will swing the sidewalk back, unfortunately, because they got freeze. Put it where it was proposed. The other thing, the connection there. don't know what they're gonna do, but they're gonna do something.
Well, my point is, you know, it might be 2, 3, or 4 years. I mean, only if what happened.
I would be sending that, because they're selling much pretty quick.
Are they?
I would expect them to be out of there by fall of next year.
They just make the sidewalk on, front. I mean, on
The
Nicholson.
Laplace place, no, on the one on Laplace, the apartment.
Oh, yeah.
They finished it about a year ago. It goes all the way over, it goes down to paved path. It comes right to a hillside. It's about 12 foot high. You have to scale.
Oh, yeah, I know the one.
It's an asphalt.
And it's asphalt. But my point was that they owe us tying that into their sidewalk. And I mean, it's been over a year. I mean, they're working on, I hate like,
We didn't specify any time or anything like that, but
Or something. Yeah, Tom, I totally agree with you there.
There's no-
People blocking the street.
there's no list of, here's what you gotta do, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, done. So, I mean, we're holding money until it's.
as long as you got enough money and they don't do it.
Well, I don't know if we have enough money, because prices go up and, you know, I know that we are.
Well, we
increasing
do
bond
increase it, yeah.
I mean, their
Change that
their sidewalk in that area is complete. Looks like when you drive in, they have.
It's not connected, so it's not complete. And it's part of the plan, they would make a connection. It didn't have to be there. The plan does show that come up and dead end there, but we specifically required them to, and it's on the plan. Required them to tie into Taylor Ridge Apartments sidewalk. Some can't, they were supposed to get rid of with Taylor Ridge. They wouldn't do it at the time Taylor Ridge was doing it. Taylor Ridge did the best they could and. You know, they're left holding the bag.
Yeah, our enforcement is to ensure it's connected.
And I mean, we've gone through with them, you know, changing their cash bond to subdivision bond, breaking up phase 2 and 2A and 2B. But I don't know if they've got anything else that they're coming in.
Well,
aside from bond.
All this is in phase 1.
Yeah, if it's okay, let me check.
Yeah.
So what's on the agenda tonight is phase 2A. 2A. The reduction for that. So I just opened up the last bond reduction we did to phase 1 where the sidewalk connection would be. At this point, there was, well, total sidewalk cost for phase 1 was $123,000 and change bonded. We've only released just shy of 35. So there's still a significant amount left in phase 1. That would be the sidewalk they're talking about.
Okay, as long as you all are looking out for it.
Yeah.
I don't want it to be like Laura's plan there. We were arguing with the contractor 4 years later about completing certain things.
King's point, there'll probably still be a discussion at this point, but what I can tell you is that there's still phase 1 financial security. You guys aren't acting on that decision.
Gotcha. Thank you.
If that helps.
I actually didn't know where you broke 2 and what was that 2 and 2A. I don't have your plan that shows the phases.
Yeah, 2A just, you come in, I forget the name of it, that first cul-de-sac that goes to the right, just back there, and then 2B is the end of the loop. And towards the back is here.
When I saw you were giving them back money, releasing bond, that just tickled my brain to at least ask about it. Thank you.
Okay, moving on, we've got others, motions to sell one Ford Interceptor SUV. But you'll see on the second page, motion 17, that the dump truck did not sell above the reserve price. So that is being relisted. If anybody wants a dump truck, they don't want it cheap. Take a shot at that. And, we do have a brief executive session to discuss motion 18 and the Fisher Tomsco litigation.
On the agenda on, which one is it? About the bills are on the website. They're really not available for viewing on the website. Motion number 4. Are they? You put this on there months ago because we thought we were gonna put them on the website and I don't think we ever did, right?
Do we know exactly what council wants?
I think we're still
It
working
was
on
a
that.
summary. You know, it's been-
Yeah. So I think we should take that off the agenda because it's not on the website for viewing. I would like to get them on the website, but that's a discussion for another day.
We still need a motion to go to the ballot for this.
Don't read.
No, I just mean that, that, that phrase,
Yeah,
the
okay,
whole
yeah.
motion, yeah. Don't say and are available for viewing on the website, because they are not, nor have they been.
So you already did with that story. Okay. Manager for others? Yeah.
The Velvet Drive, stormwater project started this week. The guys are pretty far through it, hoping to have it finished by the end of the day, end of the day, end of the week, maybe early next week. We'll have to start getting together for the easements. And then the other big thing, the Gateway Economic Development Tourism Fund, is going to award, $205,000 to the borough for the Blueberry Hill ADA playground equipment upgrade. So that's 43% of the total cost. So we're gonna continue to try to fund other funding, to support the rest of that.
Thanks, Zach.
Yep.
And, that's 205 Ks. Reps Beckett and Senator Robinson are together to get us that much, so absolutely. Join over. Okay, reports from council mayor, who's moving first?
Nothing to me.
Nothing.
I'm good.
Do we have an update on, Reese Run, the past records up to me, have he spoken to you?
We had a meeting, we talked about that. Executive.
Oh, okay.
We had a super informative land use committee meeting where we reviewed the historical and legal background for the cell towers and distributed antennas. We discussed what the next steps would be. There were some recommendations about how we could implement changes to the zoning ordinances and our regulations to better assist in placing the needed or recommended cell towers and small cells. So we were given some homework. We're going to review the Owen law version of the statute that regulates the cell towers. And we're going to look further into places where it would benefit us to alter the restrictions and regulations for cell towers and maybe distributed antennas. And some of those places included the places of worship, and also there are dead spots that were identified by our consultant. I want to take a look at those as well. So there's a lot more work to be done. Planning to have another land use committee meeting in January. So stay tuned.
Reception. Okay. Sounds good. All right, we take the session to get.